And meteorologist Joe Bastardi with weatherbell.com joins us now with a scoop on this wild weather we are seeing. Welcome, Joe.
Well, it's funny that you bring wild weather up because I coined a term last week, wild weather entertainment, the WWE, and the tag team of Snowmageddon and Coldmageddon that was developing across the United States. It's almost like, I used to wrestle in college and all that stuff. And this is, folks, let me just say something. The situation in Utah with the avalanche, you have to pay attention to what's going on when the weather gets extreme. When it comes to heat, a lot of times you go outside and you say, hey, it's hot out, I better get back in, right? But the cold can kill you and hurt you much quicker. Cold kills a lot more than warmth does. And it's just, hearing something like that sort of just takes the wind out of my sails as far as trying to explain what's going on to people.
Yeah, really concerning. I do want to ask you about this system that we're seeing. How massive is it, Joe? We're seeing snow blankets, large section of the nation right now.
It's several systems, and this is something, you see, we're on a snapshot over here. This movie has started to play back in the middle of January. This whole thing started and has evolved to this. So you're getting one storm after another that's coming. It's a handoff pattern from the west to the east. All these storms run from the southern plains to the mid-Atlantic coast. To the north, there's very cold air, so it snows. And the problem we have now is there's going to be repetitive storms this week, maybe not that strong. And then the weekend, there could be a blizzard in the northeast, followed next week by another storm coming right on its tail. And while this is going on, it's just getting colder and colder and colder. A big key to this is paying attention. And, I'm biased toward the weather because this is all I've ever wanted to do. It's what God made me to do. But folks say, hey, where did this come from? Is this the worst ever? I'll tell you what, for February, this is going to be about as extreme as you're ever going to see. And it's not only here, it's over in the UK. Milan, Italy, may get 1 foot to 2 feet of snow over the next 10 days, too. And it has to do with the way this pattern has evolved over the last month. So this movie, but now you're walking into the middle of the movie, and there's some wild things going on the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll talk about the end of the movie, Joe. How long should we expect this extreme weather to play out? Are we talking days or weeks, or what are we looking at?
Well, what happens is you had a major stratospheric warming event. And when that happens, I want to explain this to folks. When the stratosphere expands, the tropopause compacts. That means high pressure develops across Canada. And when we research these, for instance, you had one in 2009, 2010, they generally last 30 to 60 days. I punched the clock on January 15th, so this is going to last the rest of the month. It may not be quite as extreme, excuse me, at the end of the month and into March, and then suddenly it'll flip. You watch what happens. It'll be like, whoa, how'd that just all disappear, especially in the south and east. But if you look at the history of these things, and there is definitely a history to it, if you start January 15th, it's through the month of February and into early March that we have to deal with this type of stuff.
All right, well, I know we're ready for the flip right now. Does this look like it's going to be a winter that goes down in the record books?
Well, February will, but let's remember that overall, January and December were warmer than normal. We had a great, fantastic snowstorm in Texas. To see them get that in January. And of course, the Northeast had the big storm in December, but the rest of the winter has been relatively mild across the United States. When we put out our winter forecast, we said it's going to be like a roller coaster ride. You'll wind up on the platform again, which is the winter will average out near average as far as temperatures go. But the way you got there is just a wild ride with all these twists and turns. And right now, we're seeing the cold and the snow trying to balance out the previous warmth. This does happen. The winter of 06, 07, we had the coldest February on record in the Midwest after a warm January and December. So you see this happen every once in a while.
All right, very good. Joe Bastardi with weatherbell.com. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.